You've likely felt it, that quiet unease people carry around those who see too deeply, who speak too clearly, who ask questions no one wants to answer. You've seen how a man with a sharp mind is either dismissed as arrogant or treated like a threat. Intelligence, though praised in theory, is feared in practice. And if you have lived long enough, you know this to be true not by philosophy books, but by life itself. Arthur Schopenhauer, one of the most piercing minds ever to put pen to paper, understood this fear. He did not romanticize intelligence as a gift universally welcomed. He saw it for what it is, a force that disrupts comfort, questions illusion, and threatens the social fabric woven by denial. And in a world built more on appearances than truth, nothing is more dangerous than the man who sees too clearly. This video is not a celebration of intelligence. It is not an anthem for elitism. It is a brutal examination of why society, while it claims to value intellect, often moves to suppress or isolate those who possess it in excess. These are not theories to make you feel special. They are truths meant to open your eyes. Because if you have ever felt out of place for thinking too much, if you have sensed the coldness that follows clarity, you are not imagining it. You are simply awakening to a pattern as old as civilization itself. Let us go deep into the 9 reasons why society fears highly intelligent individuals, illuminated through the ruthless clarity of Schopenhauer. This will not flatter you. It may, however, explain much of what you have seen, but were never allowed to say. Most people do not live in reality. They live in stories. Stories about how the world works, about what matters, about who they are. These stories are not created by reason. They are built on repetition, comfort, and social agreement. The intelligent man, by nature of his lucidity, does not buy into these stories. He questions them, he dissects them, and in doing so, he becomes a mirror in which others see their illusions crumble. This is why society fears him. Schopenhauer wrote that the masses are not inclined to truth, but to utility. What works, what reassures, what maintains the structure, that is preferred. But the intelligent man prioritizes truth above all, even when it wounds. He sees the futility in social games, the hollowness in ritual, the vanity in ambition. And he speaks of it, or worse, he lives accordingly. And that is intolerable to a society built on consensus delusion. The intelligent individual becomes an intruder in the theater of life. He refuses to play the part. And so, he is pushed to the margins, not because he is wrong, but because he is too right for comfort. The more a man understands, the less he pretends. Intelligence has a way of stripping away the need to conform, to flatter, to follow. And this absence of pretension is deeply threatening in a world that survives on masks. Society is a marketplace of hypocrisy. People say what they do not believe, do what they do not enjoy, love what they do not admire. But the intelligent person, being less concerned with approval, speaks and acts with a coherence that others have long abandoned. This coherence is seen as arrogance. Who does he think he is, to not care what others think, to not join in the pretense, to question what we have all agreed to ignore? And so he is attacked, not directly, for truth cannot be defeated in debate, but subtly, through mockery, through exclusion, through labeling. Schopenhauer warned that truth rarely triumphs by persuasion. It triumphs only when its enemies die out. Until then, those who speak it are made to suffer. From early life, people are taught to seek approval, to belong, to find safety in the group. But high intelligence often leads to solitude, not because the intelligent want to be alone, but because they realize they must be. Schopenhauer was clear. The more a man thinks, the more he withdraws. Not from hatred of others, but from exhaustion with superficiality. And this emotional independence frightens people, because most relationships are built on mutual dependency, on the need to be needed. The intelligent man, needing less from others, becomes a threat to this unspoken contract. He is harder to manipulate, harder to flatter, harder to shame into conformity. And so, rather than being admired for his self-sufficiency, he is labeled cold, arrogant, distant. But the truth is simpler. He has learned to find within himself what others are still begging the world to provide. Society needs order, and order often depends on obedience, not to reason, but to hierarchy, to position, to tradition, to dogma. The intelligent individual threatens all of that. He asks, why must we do it this way? Who decided this rule? Is this law just or merely enforced? And such questions are dangerous, Because every structure of power, whether political, religious, or cultural, rests not only on strength, but on the silence of the governed. The intelligent man is not silent. He does not revolt with violence. He revolts with reason, with uncomfortable logic, with clarity that makes excuses look pitiful. Schopenhauer saw the intelligent man as someone who must often live as a stranger in his own land, not because he is hostile, but because his mind cannot kneel. Society loves what it understands. It fears what it doesn't. And intelligence, especially in its highest forms, often appears strange to the average mind. The brilliant thinker may be slow to speak, impatient with small talk, indifferent to trends. He may forget birthdays but remember metaphysical dilemmas from 2 decades ago. He may laugh at things others don't find funny and find no joy in what they celebrate. And so, he is branded strange. But as Schopenhauer pointed out, this strangeness is not madness. It is simply the byproduct of a mind operating in a different register. Society confuses intelligence with weirdness because it lacks the categories to grasp it. And when people do not understand something, they often react with ridicule or with fear. The group survives on agreement, not necessarily truth, but agreement. Culture, tradition, even morality are largely held together by shared belief, and the intelligent man threatens this cohesion. He is the one who dares to say the emperor has no clothes, and for that, he must be silenced, not for being wrong, but for being disruptive. Schopenhauer knew that most people are not searching for truth. They are searching for confirmation, and the intelligent individual, by revealing uncomfortable truths, is seen not as helpful, but as divisive. Thus, he is often left with a cruel choice: pretend to agree and be welcomed, or speak honestly and be exiled. And most choose exile, not out of pride, but out of principle. One of the most damning insights of high intelligence is the recognition that much of what society calls success is hollow. Titles, accolades, possessions, all of it fades, all of it distracts. This realization is threatening to a society built on competition. The intelligent man no longer plays the game. He no longer chases what others chase, and his refusal is an unspoken critique. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, the game isn't worth playing. And this terrifies people, because if he's right, what does that say about the lives of those still running in circles? Easier to call him a failure, a dropout, a dreamer, anything but a mirror. Schopenhauer argued that the man who no longer desires what others desire gains not only peace, but enemies. The intelligent person often carries a heavy awareness of time, death, and the limitations of life. This seriousness, this depth, makes others uncomfortable, because it reminds them of things they are trying to forget. While society celebrates youth, novelty, and the illusion of control, the intelligent man contemplates impermanence, aging, decay. He talks not about the newest gadget, but about meaning, legacy, the silence that awaits us all. And in a culture that worships distraction, this is taboo. Schopenhauer lived with this tension, surrounded by a world that fled from suffering while he leaned into it, seeking to understand rather than escape. And for that, he was feared, not because he was wrong, but because he was uncomfortably right. At its core, society fears intelligence because it cannot be domesticated. You can tame ambition with rewards. You can tame conformity with status. But pure intelligence, real, sharp, untamed intelligence, does not bow. It observes. It dissects. It sees through manipulation and calls it by name. And that is the greatest threat to any system that runs on illusion. Schopenhauer did not see intelligence as superiority, but as burden. He knew the intelligent person walks a lonelier path, not because he chooses solitude, but because truth rarely travels in crowds. But he also believed in the nobility of that path, to see clearly, to think freely, to live not by borrowed beliefs, but by hard-won understanding. That, he said, is the life worth living, even if it costs comfort. If you have felt the sting of isolation, the burden of seeing what others don't or won't, it is not because you are flawed. It is because you are awake, and if you are awake, do not go back to sleep. Do not trade clarity for comfort. Do not hide your mind to make others comfortable. Schopenhauer would tell you, the world may never reward you for your lucidity, but it cannot take it from you. In a time of noise, be the silence. In a world of illusion, be the mirror. In an age of fear, Be unafraid. And if this truth resonates with you, if something inside you has stirred, then consider subscribing, liking, or sharing this video with someone who still carries questions no one else wants to answer. Because thinking is still free, and as long as you dare to think, you are not alone.